Howdy folks, Kirk and Jason here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. What I'm going to show you guys today is my way of how to lath a stud wall. Back in the early 90s they changed the rules so that instead of a stud wall it's all shear. So they're usually these days it's all shear. The houses, garage, everything has a shear wall or a plywood on it. So what we're going to do today is generally we use this paperback. Back over 30 years ago when I was working for my buddy Sammy Hoff, I was a lather, hod carrier, you name it. We used to use this all day long. And there's a particular way to put this on. And more importantly, there's a way to stretch this really tight so that you don't lose a lot of cement between the studs. I'll show you that. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm allowed to use one layer of this over studs. But I have this two-ply paper in my truck. 15 bucks a roll. It took me about 15 minutes to put another 2 layers on with that. This way I keep up with current codes. And more importantly, it'll give me a little bit more solidness right here because obviously there's no shear and I don't want to lose too much stucco between there. I'll show you what we're doing here. Jay was kind enough to sister in another stud here because it's really tough to go on a stud here. So Jay stuck this other stud in here, which gives me a little bit more room to play with right here with my joints. And of course we've got a plank here to cover the flowers. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is put these 2 layers, go all the way up. We start from the bottom, work our way up. Now granted, this here, the mud seal, we generally place a weep screed or a drip screed, whatever you want to call it, means the same thing. Water goes through the stucco, hits the weep screed and drips out harmlessly on the foundation. The weep screed should be below the mud sill by at least an inch, half-inch minimum. I usually go about an inch. Anyhow, if we put a weep screed here, then cosmetically it would look foolish. So we are not going to place that weep screed. Instead, we're going to go with the existing courtyard here. And guys, if you ever break out and you see stuff like this, don't be afraid to get rid of it because we don't want that. This, when we go to plaster this another day, we'll scrape it with wire brushes and hose it because our stucco is going to go down here. It's going to match the existing. We always try to blend cosmetics with codes when we can. So, okay, I'm going to get started here. Now, what I'm planning on doing is, remember, I want to cover this mud sill. We don't want water on this. So, I'll take it, for example, about right to there. I cover that mud sill by at least an inch. All right, now, let me see here. You always want to get started somewhere and then stretch it. The reason I'm doing this guy here is to give it some strength. I mean, this paper only allows so much strength, but it's better than nothing. And again, I want 2 more layers of paper on this rather than the 1 layer. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to do this entire wall this same way. I'm going to take it over to here, and generally I'll put a staple here, and I just follow the stud. You can just feel the stud, guys. And if you rip it or puncture it, no big deal. I do that occasionally myself. Just put some caulking in that hole. Then you come here, cut it. Don't worry about that. And we just start the same process over again. And what we want is, according to code, we got to overlap this 3 inches on a horizontal. On a vertical, I like to go about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet to 3. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go with another layer on the top, so it doesn't matter if I waste it down here. Meaning there's 3 inches I'm supposed to go horizontal, but my other paper's it's going to go up here. So there's going to be a lot of overhang anyway, so why not just stretch it out and pull it tight. This way, it gives a so-called extra shear strength. Well, really not shear strength, but for me it makes it a little bit stronger. That way I don't lose so much in here. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the top. And once I take it to the top, what I want to show you is how to put this wire on, the paperback wire over the studs, because there is a system that you use, and if you do it right, you won't burn up all your cement here. This is just a precaution, the way I do things. Okay guys, we are set to apply this paperback lath. Notice we take it all the way up under here. I take my hands and I shove it under there. And yeah, there's always a spider or bug that's gonna fall out of there, but put some gloves on if you're afraid of bugs. Anyhow, now that we got this watertight, as best as we can do without tearing the whole wall off, we're gonna apply this paperback. And any of you folks say, gee, how come you didn't use the regular wire you're used to using? Because this wire will float. It'll float in here. There's no way to attach it. This wire here, let me show you guys. Get some of these tools out in the way. This wire here, every 6 inches, it's tied into here. So you lift the flap and every 6 inches, it's tied in. So it's much better for this purpose here. And somebody might say from a different state, well, you could use the flat wire. We could use a mesh, but that's not for what we are doing. In other states, that's allowable, but not in California. So, okay, we always remember, guys, lift this flap up. And if you notice, at the bottom here, we have some open where there's no paper. That I want to go on my foundation. So, what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to get the bottom, cover in that, lift this up, guys, always remember, lift this piece of paper. Jay's helping me and doing the camera work too. This is not a one-man job. Okay, so I'm going to get my staples going in here. I'm going to start one, put a second one, third one, because I'm going to stretch it over there, guys. And when I stretch it, I'll show you how to tighten this with nails. I mean, when I was working a union, what we do is we have 2 guys and we'd stretch that crap out of it. One guy holding it right here, pulling it as tight as he can. But another technique is, okay, we put it where we want it. I'm a bit crooked here, but that's okay. We put it here where we want it. Then we put a nail at an angle. Get that nail going. Then now we let the nail do the work to stretch it. Tap it. That stretched it tight, guys. A lot stronger than what I can do. I'm going to do one more nail here. Then I'm just going to go ahead and staple it off. And guys, when you're stapling with a gun, wear some glasses. I've hit Simpson strong ties and had staples hit me in the face. So always wear glasses, guys. Anyhow, you see how I pull it tight as I can get it? One man. 2 guys I wouldn't. If Jay wasn't using the camera, he'd be stretching it for me. We go here, then we let the nail stretch the crap out of it. That way we don't lose too much stucco. And what I'm going to do now is the exact same thing. This next one goes on. Jay's got one side. I'm going to repeat that same process. So go ahead, Jay, and step back. And again, guys, here's another thing to remember. Now when we overlap, this area here has got to overlap this wire. This way it's not a cold joint right here. Anyway, guys, when you next see me, I'll be stapling this wall off. Okay, guys, we've got all these 3 layers on, 3 rolls. Here's a tip too, guys. I've been doing this a long time, so if you can't find a stud and you're not certain where they are, you can mark them. Just mark them, mark the wood up there. Generally what I'll do is, okay, say I'll find a stud. Now, okay, here's a stud. And then I'll follow the line. Say if I'm going on the intertwine right here, I'm just going to follow the line. So, and basically every 6 inches. The stud isn't going to change. You find that stud, and just go with the wire mark. And what that does, guys, let this compressor drown out. I'll give you as tight a wall as almost if it's shear walled. Last thing I'll point out, guys, is okay your joints, both sides. And I'll use a lot of this stuff. Get a good quality polyurethane caulking. And when you're done, fuse as much in these joints right here as you can. I mean, it kind of beats up our key. This is a stucco key also, but for stuff like this, I tell folks either tear the whole wall out. So, I mean, we don't have an issue right here with water tighten, but where we come to a stud, it's real crucial. And all we can do is the best we can with what we have to work with. So sometimes what will happen is if you caulk this extremely well, we can get a hairline crack here. But it's well worth a hairline crack than a leak. Anyhow, my name is Kirk. Jason on the camera. And as usual, folks, we'll see you guys on the next fix.